Hello. Let's talk about Threat to Survival, Shinedown's new album. They just released the entire album yesterday. Now, a little bit of a disclaimer: I'm not a music critic. I didn't go through music theory and all of that stuff. I'm looking at this as a fan of music and as a fan of Shinedown, kind of critically analyzing the album as it is. So I'm going to start this off with the 4 songs that they released leading up to the album, in order of that they released them. Starting with Cut the Cord. Now, Cut the Cord almost had more hype before it than the album itself. When they started recording in the studio, they started hyping the new album with the hashtag Shinedown5, and then once they were done, either with the album or with Cut the Cord, however they decided to do that, they started hyping hashtag CTC. There was a little bit of speculation about what that would stand for. This was before that the album was even available for pre-order. So there was just a lot of hype building up to, alright, this is the new single from Shinedown, that's going to kind of lead up to the new album, and it generated a lot of buzz, especially within their fan base. CTC released, it had both an audio track, and then they also had a video on their YouTube channel. It wasn't much of a music video as terms of music videos go, it was just the band performing the song. For the song itself, it has a very interesting intro to it. The instrumentals and the chanting almost sounds like a snake charmer, like that kind of like flow and that sound to it. Moving on with the song itself, the verses, in my opinion, weren't anything special. They were a little chanty. Nothing wrong, nothing good, I guess, to say about them. The pre-chorus leading into the chorus has a very great build-up, and then the chorus itself, in my opinion, is just, it's Shinedown. It's that hard Shinedown sound, and it, when you look through the lyrics and you really analyze the song as a whole, it is a great song. It is what Shinedown is, and for me, it generated new hype for the album itself and just new excitement for what the new album was going to bring. They did get a little bit of a backlash because it was a new sound, but they came back saying, we don't want to put out the same album 5 times. We want to create something new every time. We want to try new things, and we want to make new content, because otherwise we're selling the same thing. And I completely agree with that statement. And to me, it still sounds like Shinedown. It's just a little bit different. They're expanding their horizons. The next song they released was Black Cadillac. Again, it sounded like Shinedown. A great build-up at the start of it. And when you look at the lyrics of the chorus, there's a little bit of a double meaning there. It makes you kind of think. Because he says, pay the price and roll the dice, wave bye-bye from a long black Cadillac. Well, I looked this up, and, a long black Cadillac can mean a stretch limo, which I'm sure a lot of people are thinking it is. But the 2 brands that hearses are Lincolns and Cadillacs, and they're longer vehicles. So it's kind of a double meaning of roll the dice, and regardless of what happens, you're either going to roll by, in a limo, in this fancy limo, or you're going to be dead in a hearse. Either way, you got to go for it. And even with that double meaning, it's an amazing message. The next song that they released, State of My Head, spawned a little bit of controversy within the Shinedown community, especially in what I was going through in the comments of the video that they posted, of the audio clip that they put on YouTube. It was very mixed reactions. A lot of people loved it, and I feel like the people that loved it were the people that started around Sound of Madness and Amaryllis, where the people that hated it started from the very beginning at Leave a Whisper. Some of the things that kind of upset me is they started comparing it to pop music. One even likened it to Miley Cyrus. And I think it's just a butthurt fan that is used to the harder, grungier Shinedown from Leave a Whisper and Us and Them, and really didn't, if you think that's anything like pop music or like Miley Cyrus, I encourage you to go listen to actual pop music and actual Miley Cyrus and other... It's terrible, is what it is. It's offensive to call it that because of because of the lack of creativity behind pop music nowadays. For the most part, there's plenty of diamonds in the rough, but from what pop music is as a whole, it's all the same garbage, and to compare Shinedown to that is just offensive. So listen to the words of the song, listen to actual pop music, and then come back and tell me that this is pop music, because it's just not. The final song that they released, the fourth song before the album came out, was called Outcast. I like the feel of the riff. I was a little thrown off by the auto-tune in the middle of the first verse. I felt like it was out of place, and I felt like a lot of the people comparing it to pop music from the State of My Head, when they released State of My Head, we're going to have a field day with that, be like, oh, now they're using auto-tune. It did feel out of place, and it did kind of throw me off. I'm like, what are you doing? They could have easily have left out that bit, because they repeat the same line in the second verse, and don't auto-tune it in the second verse, so I just feel it was out of place and unneeded. But other than that, I mean, the lyrics present a good message, and overall the song is, in my opinion, you know, it was definitely my least favorite out of the four they released before the album, but it's still a good song. So going back to the beginning of the album, going into the release of the album yesterday, the first song was called Asking For It. I feel it was a very good choice to put as their intro song, as the first song of the album. It was a very good, it was a great introduction to the flow of the rest of the album. It was, you know, other than that, I don't have much else to say about it. The lyrics are good, the music is good, it's Shinedown. So then after Asking For It was Cut the Cord, then State of My Head, then Outcast. I've already talked about those. I feel like the order of those songs flow very well. After Outcast is How Did You Love? Now this song, it almost, like the beginning and a lot of the rest of the song kind of reminds me of Adele, which is really weird because, you know, it's a very different genre, but they did put their own Shinedown taste to it, and, you know, for that, you know, I like it as a whole. I like it as a song. It felt a little different than what I'm used to with Shinedown. The transition from Outcast to this song was a little bit interesting, with Outcast being more upbeat and this one being not. It felt similar to the transition from Nowhere Kids to Miracle from the Amaryllis album, and when I look back and compare that, it doesn't feel as out of place. The song after that is It All Adds Up. The instrumental for that is interesting. I like the beat behind it, the kind of feel, and then as it continues, it just builds on and builds on. The chorus, the final chorus at the very end, how they kind of drop off everything and then bring it back in, kind of reprise it. I feel like that has a really great feel. The last 30 seconds, I feel, you know, and this is nitpicking for this, is it felt like it went a little bit long. Like, if I'm listening to it in my car and I get to the end of the song, I'm probably just going to skip the last 30 seconds. But again, that's kind of a nitpick, because overall the song, it was a good song. You know, again, great lyrics, a good feel overall, and it's just, you can tell they're doing something different with this album, and that's not a bad thing, because it's still good music. The song after that is Oblivion. I was a little bit scared when the song first started, because it was another slow start, and I was looking for that Shinedown heaviness that, you know, everyone is pretty much looking for, that everyone wants to hear from Shinedown. So the intro is very interesting. It almost sounds gospel-y. The way he's humming it and everything, it almost sounds like a gospel choir. The rest of the song as a whole, within the chorus and whatnot, almost reminded me of Seether, which is, I mean, it's better to have that kind of comparison than comparing another song to Adele. Because it's still the same genre, but it was a little bit different. I liked this different, definitely, more than the How Did You Love. I like the differentness of it, because it's still Shinedown. They have that, you know, Brent Smith has a very distinct voice, and to put that Shinedown twist on something that sounds similar to Seether, I don't feel like they're copying Seether. It feels like they took an idea and made it their own, and are broadening their horizons, which is great. The next song is Dangerous, and it feels like Oblivion kind of flows into Dangerous. The intro kind of sounds similar. All I can really say about it is that it's Shinedown. I mean, I can't really, the message behind it is great, and I have really nothing else to say about it other than that it's Shinedown. it sounds like them. It sounds like this is the song that they made when they needed something, and they were like, all right, let's go back to, you know, something from Sound of Madness. It's what it sounds like, which is a good thing. All right, moving on to Thick as Thieves. I have literally nothing to say about Thick as Thieves. I don't know. I don't know what it is about it. I have nothing to say about it. It's not a bad song. I'm not even going as far to say that it's not a good song. It's a good song. Probably similar to Dangerous. I would say it's definitely Shinedown. It's not really anything special. I have nothing to say about it. It's a good song. It's interesting, but yeah. After Thick as Thieves was Black Cadillac, and as far as order of the album goes, which doesn't really matter because everyone's just going to put it on shuffle with the rest of Shinedown if they want to listen to it anyway, I felt like Black Cadillac fit more after Dangerous, in between Dangerous and Thick as Thieves. It felt a little bit out of place in between Thick as Thieves and Misfits. But I guess transitioning from Black Cadillac into Misfits, Misfits is a pretty good kind of outro track for the album, kind of rounding up the album as a whole. I love Misfits. It's a great song. It reminded me of, kind of like how other songs, one reminded me of Adele, one reminded me of Seether. This one kind of reminded me of the script, the style behind it, and even the lyrics almost seemed script-like. I mean, definitely heavier than the script ever is. Script is definitely on that edge of poppiness that I would kind of, it's almost pop, but it's not quite. I would kind of put it with like All American Rejects. So it's not a terrible thing to compare to, but it's definitely heavier. Final thoughts on the album as a whole. It was a great follow-up to Sound of Madness. But wait a minute, Shade Frost. Sound of Madness was 2 albums ago. This is a follow-up to Amaryllis. Yes, but I feel like as far as talent goes, they kind of released albums out of order. I know that doesn't make any sense because they obviously wrote this after Amaryllis, but it feels like a follow-up to Sound of Madness, and Amaryllis would be a follow-up to this. Because to me, Amaryllis was borderline perfect. It was a masterpiece of what Shinedown can do. It was the first album by, I think, anybody, definitely Shinedown, maybe anybody in a long time, where I could sit down and listen to every single song in order, maybe not even in order, but I can listen to every single song all the way through. Amaryllis just had this amazing balance of slower songs with the upbeat, heavy, anthemy, feel it in your chest, awesome songs. And unfortunately for them, in my opinion, as a Shinedown fan and as a music fan, just nothing they could have ever created would live up to that, in my opinion. I hate to compare it to this, but kind of like Psy. Gangnam Style became the most watched video on YouTube, and it was the most popular song ever for a long time. And because of that, Gentleman got a little bit of views and whatnot, I would say because of Gangnam Style, but no matter how good Gentleman was or could have been, it was never going to live up to Gangnam Style. And as much as I hate comparing it to that, I feel like this is the same way. The way that Amaryllis was and is, and I still listen to it to this day, were like songs from Sound of Madness and Leave a Whisper in Us and Them, I just don't listen to anymore. I'll sometimes go back and listen to them, but I've listened to them so much that I don't go back to them as often, where Amaryllis I'm still listening to, and there's no way they could have ever lived up to that. And I feel like if this album was a follow-up to Sound of Madness, it wouldn't be receiving as much flack for the different style, and I feel like my brain would like it more. But the hype following from Amaryllis and CTC, Cut the Cord, I feel like was the best song on the album. So unfortunately, they kind of showed their hand at the very beginning and kind of, you know, went all in with that. So unfortunately, you know, the best song, again comparing something else like, and it's not quite this bad. Imagine Dragons, they released Warriors, which was amazing. It made me so psyched for their second album. And then their second album was all it wasn't good in my opinion. It had one or two other songs that I would bother listening to. Otherwise, Warriors was the only one worth listening to. This entire album is worth listening to. Don't get me wrong, but Cut the Cord had so much hype behind it. It made me so excited for the rest of the album that that coupled with how amazing Amaryllis was, I just feel like I'm not able to appreciate this album as much as I should. Where if it was a follow-up to Sound of Madness, I would love it almost as much as I loved Amaryllis. I would realize that it's not perfect, that there are songs that I'm probably going to skip a month into having the album, but you know, it's a good album. It was just nothing was going to live up to Amaryllis. So that's what I think of Threat to Survival. I know people watching this and people listening to Shinedown have differing opinions. Some will agree with me, some will disagree with me. So let me know what you think. I'd love to have a discussion with you in the comments below if there's anything you disagreed with in what I had to say about either each individual song or what I had to say about the album in full. Leave a comment and let me know, and I'll see you next time.